Hey all, welcome to another episode of NA Empire. Today I'm going to be reviewing the IPA from Bravus Brewing. This is an interesting beer, definitely the closest thing in sort of non-alcoholic beer land to a Northeastern IPA, like that really juicy IPA that was popular, I guess, around 2015, 2016. See what they have to say for themselves. It's always a great time for Bravus. The folks at Bravus believe beer should be about the experience, not the alcohol content. That's why we're America's first brewery dedicated solely to the production of non-alcoholic craft beer. Our exclusive brewing process allows us to create a beer which tastes so much like an alcoholic beer, you would be hard-pressed to tell the difference. So go ahead, try one. I'm really not sure about their claim to be America's first brewery that only produces non-alcoholic beer. I haven't done the research, but I wouldn't be surprised. There's definitely a lot of them now, but they were established in 2015. So, yeah. I really like the design of this can. It kind of centers the hops up front. You can really see it outlines them in silver. The entire thing's green. It's got this these sort of back etched, almost like an English naturalist drawing of a hop that kind of wraps around the entire can in a really nice forest green. Yeah, it's a really attractive beer. I think this is one of the first craft non-alcoholic beers I had, so it stays with me. They've got a very sort of old-timey branding with an almost cursive Bravus Brewing Co. You can see the first letter of each thing is written in cursive, and then this scroll work that tags it as non-alcoholic. I don't know if they have a really consistent brand voice, to be honest, but yeah, it is. I do like some of their designs. Like on their cerveza, they do a sugar skull. Which is a little out of line with things like with their goes. It's the raspberries are highlighted. I do really like that they highlight the the plant up front. Yeah. So this is a near beer. It's 0.5% alcohol by volume or less. So not 0.0. The ingredients we have are water, malted barley, malted rye, hops, and yeast. Made in Costa Mesa, California. I had remembered this having calories on it, but not seeing any on the can. I guess I will probably post that in the description. Yeah. Cool. Let's go ahead and pop it open. Good fizz on that. A little bubble. Yeah, so it's very juicy. It just smells really juicy. It's got a lot of different things layered on. It has a really complex scent just on its own. There's even a tang in the scent itself. It's definitely before smelling it, it smells like it's going to be a really overwhelming thick experience. Yeah, give it a pour. Not a super fantastic head on that. That might be my fault. Really cloudy. This so especially the IPA for Bravus is a very cloudy beer. I think a lot of non-alcoholic beer I drink I can see through, but not this one. It is it's got good bubbles, but it is very, very, very foggy, which is fitting if you're going for that Northeastern style IPA. I don't know if that's what they are doing here, but yeah. They don't at least they don't claim to. Let's try the first sip. So, I think there's two really strong notes that you get right away, which is the malt. So definitely a malted rye and the malted barley come across. You can taste that as sort of the kick the door down part of the flavor. And then the body is pretty thick. It's not syrupy, but it's not super liquid. It does have it. It has body. It has mouthfeel, but it's definitely feels heavy. and it has this very juicy taste. It tastes like, like it has a memory of at one point being some sort of fruit juice, I guess. It's not really sweet as much as it's just got just like so much going on. It's got like it tastes very vividly of like someone's juiced a plant into this. One thing I will say about Bravus is that the carbonation is sometimes a little off, and this one in particular, the bubbles aren't that strong as like opposed to something like a BrewDog, where really you can feel it peppering your mouth. That's not something I really care that much about, but if that is something that you really enjoy out of your beer, then it could be something to think about. I've said this before in my reviews, but something about Bravus is there is like a strange note that sits at the back of all of their different reviews, or not reviews, sorry, all of their different beers. It's like I don't know what I would call it. It is maybe that malt, but there's something that's like it's got that thick body, it's got that little bit of juiciness, it's got that little bit of like kind of dry, crisp bitterness from like the malt that seems to pop up again and again, and it's something that for me is not my favorite thing in the world. Maybe it's an acquired taste, but I, for that reason, don't drink Bravus all that often. I really do love their goes. I'll review that at some point. But their IPA, I think, is solid. I think if I were going to rate it among all the different non-alcoholic IPAs I've tried, I would put it solidly in the middle of the pack. If you really like a juicy IPA, this would probably put it up further to the top for you. Since I'm not a huge fan of like a really, really juicy, really, really, cloudy IPA, it's a treat every once in a while, but it's not something I go nuts for. Yeah. Beyond that, I do think that that this beer is one that's really good to pair with things. Most beers, I really just appreciate them on their own, but this one, because of some of those interesting flavors that I noted, it can be really well paired, with things like a meal, like a burger or pasta, or and that sort of stuff. That helps balance out that flavor a little bit and gives a background that makes everything seem a little more sane, as opposed to just a little odd when it's consumed on its own. Yeah, but I think that's about all I have to say about the Bravus Brewing IPA. If you like, the ultimate verdict is if you like a juicy IPA, then this is probably a beer for you. Or if you just want to try something a little bit more exotic, then you're just standard, hop and to the point. But yeah, overall, it is pretty middle of the pack for me. Thank you very much for watching this episode of NA Empire, and until next time, happy drinking.